Welcome to the StockMentor.com studios here in the Black Hills of South Dakota. I'm your stock mentor, Brian Johnson, making professional trading simple. Today, a huge rundown. Lots of volatility in the markets, and we're going to get to the dailies here and kind of show you what I'm seeing, but it's very it's very similar to what we saw, just a few weeks back, and that's the kind of this trading range that we've been bouncing between. Earnings are, some are good, some are bad. Market doesn't seem to make a difference. Obviously, once again, you know how I go on about this, but the news is just kind of making up whatever they want to make up about why the markets are doing what they're doing. But we did see a pretty significant pullback, larger than what we saw the last time, and that is, of course, always of interest when you start to go a little bit deeper on each move to the downside. But ultimately, bigger time frame, still nothing really broken. You can see here that the Dow finished above the 10,600 level, and that was really our first level to get not only below but to close below. Now it does close below this little line I have drawn in here, but give it some leeway on this line. Give that to about the 10,600 level. I could make that a little bit wider. So where we're at right now is still nothing broken from the bull case. I guess if you want to draw lines, you make this little megaphone thing, which, overall is probably bearish in nature, but it is whatever. It is what it is. We're just going to wait and let it break some of these higher levels. I'm still waiting for the more major break, and that is the 10,500 level. Moving over here to a daily, you can see we're getting this chop action. See this sideways action? Today we touched almost the 10,500 level. Very interesting to see that. All the way down to 10,517 today. 17 points on the Dow. Close enough for me. That is pretty much, I'm going to call that kind of a initial touch of the 10,500 level, or at least a initial attack at the 10,500 level, if you will, by the bears. But here's what I'm seeing. See this here? Move up, chop sideways, eventually resolve up. That's kind of what we're starting to see in here. Waiting for resolution. Will it be up? Will it be down? We don't know. We'll let the charts tell us. In this case, I'm still going to call it between the 10,500 and the let's call it 10,725 area for the Dow. Really need a break above this area or below this area to really start to get me interested. But you can see how we broke the 20-day. We broke this first line of this first trend line here, this first channel line I have drawn in here, and yet we're not able to close below it. The buying pressure came back in. The bulls are not ready to give up the ghost quite yet. NDX on a 60-minute doing the same thing. See this little chop action that we see here? Now kind of between this, let's call it 1850 and 1900 that we're watching on the NASDAQ. We have this gap that has yet to be filled from today. Yeah, why not? Why not see another tack up here? It worked back here. Remember that big trading range we saw? Let's move on to a daily. Remember this big trading range we saw in here? It was very ugly on the NASDAQ, much more clean on the Dow and on the SPX. But the same type of thing can apply here, and that is buy support, sell resistance. Buy support, sell resistance. We are in a situation now where we have a pretty well-defined trading range, and it's doing the same thing it did before. What is that? It's hitting support, moving back up a little bit, maybe not far enough to get you all interested in it. Look at that. Tim Knight's talking tonight. Hey, go Tim Knight. Sorry, saw a chicken. Moving back and forth, comes down, it hits support. It kind of moves sideways for a while, moves back up towards the end of the day, makes you wonder, do I want to hold overnight? What do I do? What do I do? And then in the morning it gaps up. And now you're right back up to resistance, and you're like, what do I do? What do I do? Very difficult to play these moves. It did the same thing back here when it chopped sideways. Lots of gaps. Move up to resistance. Sit there, sit there, sit there. Move down a little bit at the end of the day. And by the morning, gap down like it did today. Gap down like 10 points. And then, within an hour and a half, had already found the bottom for the day. So very difficult to kind of trade that. You have to really be on your toes as a trader to get in on some of those moves. So we'll see if this finally resolves itself, but keep watching these levels. Notice how the 1900 level now is also this trend line that once was support, now is kind of becoming resistance on this back end. The weekly, not enough information here. Still only Wednesday. Let's see if it holds down here. But interesting to note that we did kind of break below last week's low today, ever so slightly and ever so quickly. If this keeps up and we end up with a candle like this by the end of the week, it's going to look like a high base and or slash a bull flag, which is ultimately bullish, either one of them. Got to break those heavier levels to really get me interested to the bear side. SPX on a 60-minute, here's that trading range. Chop, chop, chop. Same thing today. Close here. Close 1150.23 was yesterday's close, and I think we opened, 9-10 points down today. So you were already halfway to support, and then within an hour and a half had run its way down. Now, we did manage to cut the 1130 line. See this 1129.25? Very interesting. We were able to cut it once again, but not close below it, nor even for any short amount of time stay below it. So here we are again, looking to bounce off 1130, coming right back up into some overhead resistance. But how do we beat it? We just gap. Let's see what who's reporting tonight. eBay and I don't know, some other people are reporting tonight, and there's more in the morning. The markets will do what they want to with that information, but watch for maybe, why not, a potential gap up and a run back up into support or resistance, where it just kind of sits and teeters. Who knows where this is going to end up. If this gaps and can gap down below this 1130, that could make things very interesting from a bear perspective. But right now, we're just looking like we could be forming another bull flag trading range, sideways, high base, whatever you want to call it. Regardless, another bullish type formation until we break these lower levels and can get below them to any great degree. We could maybe expect, I wouldn't expect, let's not say expect. Let me just say that it would not surprise me to see us gap up 1138. Let's gap up tomorrow 7 or 8 points, run our way up to 1150. Maybe a couple wicks above it, never really close above it, and just kind of base our way there for most of tomorrow. Lather, rinse, repeat. So we'll see if we get that kind of motion in the morning. That's just a total guess on my part, but wouldn't be surprising to me based on the information that we have now. Support, resistance, support, resistance, support, almost kind of breaking that down here. Now, another touch of resistance? We'll find out. Daily on an SPX, look how it sliced back down below this area and broke the 20, right back down to 1130, the low being 1129, but not able to hold by the end of the day. And I'm big on closes and closing prices. Not able to close below any of those major levels. The bulls are still holding this thing up. I really am looking for not only a slice below, but a close below the 1130 area. So here we have this little basing formation waiting for a break above 1150 or below 1130 to really get me in. But you can see we've tried multiple times to break this particular resistance up here and have not been able to do it. From a weekly standpoint, end of Wednesday, a couple days left, same look as the NASDAQ, kind of the previous close was 1136, so we have seen some lower prices this week, but once again, still looks like kind of a high base and or just a bull pullback at this point from a weekly standpoint. Let's see what the next 2 days bring us. See if that candle looks any different by the end of the week. The VIX up a little bit today, up $1.04. That's almost a 6% move. Wow, look at the VIX come tearing back with great aggression. Well, no, not really. Still stuck below this more major level of resistance that's above it, and still within this trading range, and still really no fear here in the markets. Just the fear just still isn't pouring in. Yes, we are moving down. Yes, we had a great move in the VIX, which confirms the move down we saw today. So that's, it's kind of nice to see, but it's still not very convincing from a more long-term time scale yet. Apple on a 60, almost coughing it all back up again today. Well, we had a monstrous 9-point move yesterday.